Here is another Zombunity MUD tutorial. The code is up on GitHub, cwmcguire/zombunity-mud. I want to go over a few gotchas in the database code. We use the org.hsqldb JDBC driver class to access the HSQLDB server. That class is found in the same HSQLDB jar that used to run the server. We're going to use the HSQL protocol to access this in-memory database. Watch out that you don't use the mem protocol, which will access an in-process in-memory database. We're accessing an in-memory database that is actually hosted on an HSQLDB server, and we're going to access the database called Zombunity on the local host. So that's a bit of a gotcha there. With connection is a macro that will wrap the body that you specify. Notice that this body is an argument. It's a list passed as an argument to this macro. It'll wrap that in a function. Before that function is called, it'll use with open on the connection that it gets to run your function and then automatically call .close on the connection after it's finished. During that connection, while this is open, you can access the connection with the connection function. Simply open parentheses, connection, close parentheses. Let's have a look at how that works. So here's our macro that specifies call this with connection star and our body wrapped in a function. And then in here it gets the connection and then it binds it to a local var called db, which is a map. We'll have a connection key and a connection associated with it. So if we look at the connection function, we can see that it calls find connection and then accesses that local var with the connection key to get our connection back out of it. So we can just call connection to find the connection. We run it inside a transaction, another macro. We run inside with query results. This has got another gotcha. This rs is not a value. It will be a name that will be passed to our body will be wrapped in a function, and that will be the name of the argument that our function takes. So this code then can access that rs variable because it'll be a parameter that's passed to it. So let's look at how that works. We have with query results will be called, it is a macro that actually calls with query results star, wraps our body that we specified as an argument to that macro in a function that takes this results parameter. Inside with query results star, a prepared statement is created. It's .execute query is called on that prepared statement to get a record set. Result set seq is used to turn that record set into a lazy sequence of maps that's passed to our function, the body of the code that we specified wrapped in a function. So now, because that's passed to our quote-unquote function, which is really this body, we can access rs, it's actually this one here, as if it's a function, as if it's a function parameter. So it will be bound, by the time this code runs, it will be bound to that lazy result set seek. Now, we want to access this result set, or the data from that result set, outside of this function. We have these map functions here that will return lazy sequences themselves. If we don't access the next iterations in that lazy sequence until after this code is already complete, then we'll be trying to access the result set after it's already been closed. It's with query results. We'll use that with open macro to close the result set as soon as this body is finished. So we're going to use do all to get all the records right away, slurp them all up so that we have them locally. And now when we call this map function to get a lazy sequence out of that result set, it's not going to be accessing that record set that is reliant on the database anymore. It's going to be a local record set that we have. So that's why we do that do all statement, because of that. And that's, I think, about all the gotchas that we have in the database code.